Yeah, four is a magic number, man. So that's a sign of completion for me. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this one. This one's gonna be really special, man. We're gonna talk about a topic that not too many people really know about. It's gonna be amazing. We have me, Miles Hollywood Castle.
Your boy, LaShawn Sugar Ray Monster. We are the host, and we got our guest.
Francina Evans.
Yeah.
Miss A1reset. Miss A1reset.
Let's go!
Absolutely. Yeah, we just gonna give a little background on why we chose to actually speak to her, and her credentials is kind of crazy. I was actually surprised. Like, I didn't even know all of this stuff until we had a conversation. So give them a little background on what you do, and even you as an athlete. I want to give them a rundown. Give them a short rundown.
It's fine. So, Francina Evans here. I am, what am I? I am this young woman that is really, really passionate about the gut. My journey started as an athlete. So I've been running track my whole life mostly. When I was 7, I wanted to be Mary Jones, literally. So I've always been training for the Olympics. I made it to the trials twice, the USA trials. Didn't quite get that kind of bag yet, but I was training up into the pandemic, and I was basically, in order to get to the level that I wanted to reach, you have to be 12% body fat. So I've always been, as an athlete, they have different supplements out here. There's a lot of things on the market, and in addition to that and aging, things start to change when you consume things that are artificial. They have a negative effect on the gut. And it wasn't until I really needed something to get me to the next level. So I just started testing on myself after my experience at the FDA, and I started making this juice for myself to keep my body better.
Wait, hold up. You speeding. Let's bring it back. She was working at the FDA. Let's go back to that. You were working at the FDA. What were you doing at the FDA? Because that's not no little thing.
What is the FDA?
Exactly.
Okay, so I went to Wagner College. During my junior year, I had an internship at the Institute for Basic Research, which led to another one at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. So they pretty much regulate a lot. You see them in the news a lot, or a lot. To keep it, to not get censored tonight. But nonetheless, this was an opportunity for me to pretty much learn about not only the food, but the drug industry, the colors industry, so in terms of makeup, and a series of things that we're putting into our bodies every single day. And these choices that we make on a daily basis, they have an effect on our entire life to come. So it's really about gathering. A1reset for me was really just gathering that experience and just making a better path for myself, and then now I get to share that with others. That's essentially just what I'm about. But I would love to talk a little bit about that experience and how it was for me. So what do you want to know?
So now we're going to get into the topic now. So the topic is right now, we're going to get into the topic. We're going to talk about the gut. Is the gut the second brain? So that is the topic that we're dealing with today, and I want you to break that down. And also, they say that we have 3 brains. I've been reading that now, that we have 3 brains, and I want you to go into that, because that's all new for me. 3 brains, I know 2, some people only know 1, but they say we have 3, and you're going to explain.
So technically we have 3 brains. So your gut is your second brain. Another brain, considered a brain, because they all work in conjunction, basically, is your heart. So they all work and they're all connected through this thing called the vagus nerve, right? So a lot of issues that people have in today's society, they stem from your vagus nerve just being really, really inflamed. You have things like inflammation, you have things like headaches, anxiety, depression. This happens when our nervous system is literally fried, in layman terms. So yes, we have to be good to our 3 brains.
No, absolutely. So what about, So how is the gut even the brain? Or let's get into that. Let's go back to that. Let's go to the origin of like even how that works. Because a lot of people are not even like really familiar with that. I hear a lot of people say my gut instinct, my gut feeling, my gut this, but don't really know the logistics that it's possibly your second brain. And I want you to get into that.
Yeah, so once again, they're connected through the vagus nerve, which the brain is, the vagus nerve starts with the brain and it goes all the way to the end of the colon, right? So it's a continuous nerve and they're all connected. So the stronger that connection is, the healthier you're going to be. And the weaker that connection is, obviously vice versa, right? So your goal is, as a human being, is to pretty much do everything that you can to basically maintain it and better. You don't have to be perfect. We're always going to strive for being the best version of ourselves in everything that we do. But when it comes to nutrition, putting things topically, like on our skin, we just want to, with the information that we get, because it's always new research in this field. So I'm a student every day. Always was about track, and now it's more so for nutrition and just in this field, and it's always something new. So there was actually a drug this week, actually, FDA cleared some drug for Alzheimer's. Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty interesting. It's pretty pricey, and they're still in the test market, but it's supposed to actually help people that have an early onset to Alzheimer's. And the drug is pretty pricey. So they're now trying to see if they can get that to people, but there are a lot of risks also. So unfortunately, that's a really big downside. So they're kind of still in the, and we also have a doctor in the house. I would love to get your insight on that. So
we're definitely going to come at him. You already know we're going to definitely. I was thinking the same thing.
I was when I heard that, and I'm like, oh yes, if the data was, I'm like, what are they doing with it now? Because when I was at the IBR, I actually worked on I was working on a team to develop a drug for Alzheimer's. It's always been a development for years and years and years, but they can't figure out how to stop these beta amyloids from building up. So I was excited when I learned that the risks were even they put death as number 4, but they didn't really say it, they just had it on the screen. People don't really get this, but everything starts with insurance.
So let's get back into the gut also. Let's get back to that. So what are some of the things that strengthen and weaken that relationship with the gut? What are some of the things?
Can you hold that? Before that, if you can go deeper in layman's terms, what is the role of the gut, right? There's definitely a connection, like football connection, the vagus nerve connection, the brain and our head, our gut and our heart, right? So the 3 brains. But what is the actual role of our gut?
Okay, so our gut microbiome, it is it's to digest your food, basically. So your gut has certain enzymes to break down food. So it's a very complex system, and essentially we need these enzymes in order to process our food. When we're lacking these enzymes in our system, and that kind of can explain why we can get constipated, because we don't have certain proteins to break things down. So when we're lacking these things, then it becomes an issue. But if we do have them, then we have an efficient system. 100%. That makes if that answers your question.
A little bit, pretty much.
Okay.
Because then what happens is when our gut is not right. Now, to his question, our gut is not strong, it's not working efficiently. Then you have mood swings, right? You have the other mental or cognitive and behavioral issues that stem from that.
Yes.
Right? So those are now the question, how do we strengthen the gut? Yeah. What foods and substances weaken the gut in this process?
Not only just foods, everything. I want to know everything that weakens it, everything that strengthens it. So these are the things that people could look out for and or work on to build upon.
Yes. So I'm so glad that you said that, because it really, everything starts from your skin, down to your water filter, right? I don't know how many of you in here have water filters on your shower, or yes, good choice right there. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't control every single thing, but the more things that you can, whether it's a water filter that you're drinking, if you're getting an odd cup of Dunkin' Donuts, what kind of water do you think that they're using, right? Think about the amount of levels metals and pathogens that are in that cup of water that's going to turn into a cup of coffee, right? And if you have it on a daily basis, you know, what is that going to do long term? How many metals are accumulating in these organs too that turns to neurotoxins as well? So that's like another layer in this. And so to start with the skin, what can we do for our skin? We can watch our water intake, right?
Okay, the quality.
You mean like the quality of the water?
The quality of water that we
Uh-huh.
consume. So, you know, to get a shower filter, a filter for your shower. They have a lot of different filters out here. They even have one that has like vitamin C, like really, really pricey.
That's I bet. That's intriguing. What about so what about the foods? What about herbs? What about foods and herbs that we can use to strengthen our gut and build that?
Number one food I would recommend is garlic. Garlic is it's actually like nature's antibiotic. Yeah, it's nature's antibiotic. Honestly, like I tell all my clients, like if you feel an inkling of getting sick, say one is a big one, but before that, because you're at home, right? You're gonna get a raw piece of garlic, slice it up, add some honey to it, take a spoonful, and just let it work because it's so powerful and it's raw season. Not the minced things. That's another thing. That's another thing.
Those things, and it's so powerful mentioning garlic because I remember a while ago reading something in one of these health books about the connection between God, our blood, and garlic. Like God,
Tell me about that.
it's like garlic is God's gift, right? It's a nature, it's antibiotic. Ancient term for nature, the most ancient was God. All this ancient term for God was nature. So it was like it's antibiotic, it's God's gift to you to heal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Almost anything and everything in a different way.
It is.
So it's powerful too.
It is. It is. Like I know people can't get past the taste, but when I tell you that it literally, what it does is it has an enzyme. Like as soon as you slice it, those enzymes are the most powerful for like killing the viruses like on site, right? Basically, like that's what it does in your body. So it has a high amount of zinc as well. So it stops anything from forming if it's going to form. So that's why it's like good to like consume garlic sweet. Put it that way.
And that's why one of some of our elders used to use garlic pretty much in everything. Right? The more garlic you use, they say the healthier you are.
Yeah. My grandfather, actually on my paternal side, my mother always told me that he swore by garlic and aloe. And that's actually why I put aloe in the
Aloe, yes.
Yeah. Garlic is a staple, so.
I got you. So what about like I'm thinking about now like behaviors. Like what are certain behaviors that trigger like that weaken your gut? Like I'm pretty sure you know.
Well, behaviors that weaken your gut, or see, I was thinking of it.
Okay.
What behaviors stem from a weakened gut?
There we go. Let's get to
I
it.
wasn't sure which angle. Okay, so.
What behaviors still? No, wait, that's what you asked.
Right.
He wasn't asking what behaviors weaken the gut.
Right, but she just spun me around just now.
I wasn't sure where he was going.
But I mean, I would like to build on that, right? Because there are obviously things that can weaken your gut, right? Like too much of anything, too much exercise, right? We think it's good, but it can weaken your gut, right? Like too much sleep. You know what I mean? There are definitely too many things that you can do too much of that can weaken your gut if you're not properly fueling.
Right.
And even stress. I'm figuring that stress
Yeah, so
can weigh.
things like lack of sleep, you know, alcohol in excess, right? So alcohol, generally speaking, it like literally destroys your good bacteria. So like your good friends that are working for you. So it's no easy way around it, you know. I celebrate in moderation, you know, on occasion, but you know, usually I'll have like one of my shots with something alcoholic, or I'll, you know, hydrate cellularly with lemon water. So like there are myriad things you can do and still enjoy your alcohol. You know, because I don't want to say, oh, throw it all together, you know, because it is something that is a lifestyle for many. But, you know, you don't want to be on the other side of the spectrum that now we start to talk about degrading the liver. You know, that's also another conversation because your liver is also responsible a lot. In addition to the gut, your liver has been working and it really gets ignored. It's really not fair because the liver does a lot of work. The liver does a lot.
Another question: would you say that impulsivity and specifically impulsive like violence, especially when we do that,
Yes.
the inability to like process emotions and all that stuff.
Yes, so it's also like a buildup of like metals in the brain, right? So when your brain is full of metals all over your body, so everyone has metals.
Yes.
We have metals that are inherited from our parents, from our environment where we live in, from our shower, from our drinking water. Metals are everywhere, but it's really like the rate at which you get them out. So that's why it's just so important to get them out. But things, mental disorders like autism is a disorder that stems from a high metal content in the brain. And earlier that you change the diet, like I have a friend that put her son on a vegan diet, and it literally was like reversed. Like it's possible.
Ooh, clap that to that,
Yeah.
please.
And one of the things that I really appreciate about that story, that it wasn't just the kid that went vegan, it was both her parents. So they took that initiative to make it in their own priority, like, no, this is what we are doing. Not, oh, Johnny has to eat just veggies tonight. No, we're eating veggies tonight. And every night.
It takes a community. People understand, like a lot of times, it takes family, it takes friends, it takes people that are living like-minded to really elevate the situation. And a lot of people don't have the foundation to make that happen. And that's why a lot of people struggle, because they don't have community,
And that's why we're here, though. So a place like Urban Vegan Roots.
Yes.
Bring your family.
Absolutely.
So we know, I think it's common knowledge that like the brain sends signals, right, to the body to respond in different ways. Can you talk a little bit about some of the signals that the gut, second brain, sends to our brain?
Right, so like they work, so this pathway is continuous, right? So they overlap in conjunction and they communicate with neurons and they send signals, and basically the healthier that you have each system, all of your organs, the better off these messages are going to be between one another, and therefore that's going to play out in your life. What are your thoughts like? So the more clogged everything is, the more clogged your mind is going to be, right? So
100%. I was reading like one of the signals, or one of the ways the gut-brain relationship works is like if you eat something that makes you sick, right? And then if you smell it, if you see it, your gut will remind you, right? The brain sends a signal to the gut to remind you, last time I ate this, it didn't feel so well. Don't do it again, right?
the body's always trying, it's like designed to protect us.
No, it is.
So we
It
have to
is.
listen.
It is.
Sometimes, like,
Completely designed.
sometimes when, like you just get it to that point where, you see that extra piece of chicken on a plate and you're like, you don't want to throw it out, but at the same time you're like, I'm full, like I really don't need this, and you just go for it anyway.
Right.
Look, what are you doing to your liver?
Right.
You're giving your liver more work to do. Right?
100%.
It's like seeing a garbage truck on the street, right? And it's no more space for the garbage. And somebody just tries to stuff another bag of garbage, and that's literally what happens, and then it loses its function.
Powerful.
Right?
Yeah.
So when it's losing its function, your body can't burn fat at that point.
So powerful, and that kind of speaks to, if we're eating and, we know we're full, but the food is really good, and your eyes are bigger than your stomach, right? You say, your mind tells you, I can do more, right? And so now that goes to even, again, what I mentioned earlier, the connection between God and gut, right? Like, is your gut your God? Right? Is your gut your highest power that's signaling you at all times? Right? That's a theory. I think it is.
Absolutely.
That's where the gut instinct comes from. Like, absolutely. Leading you in the right direction, but you choose the opposite. And
Because the mind.
Absolutely.
The power of free will.
Right,
The mind and the gut. The two main brains. Right? Then you got the heart. I feel.
And the clearer that connection is, right, the stronger your intuition. It really works like that. And like even more because like really, so what's like so crazy is that I didn't even know that I was obsessed with the gut since 2014 because I was all about abs. I used to go about before A1reset and see the ab series, right? So I had ab tutorial and I tried to do it with like Sean T, right? That's actually how we have everybody now.
That's
But
Sean T.
yeah, Sean T, no, because he has insanity going and I actually didn't meet him.
Oh,
I met
okay.
him on the train and I told him, I said, I did insanity and he was trying to sell me a from that, just shooting it for 7 weeks, right? My core became stronger, but my confidence became stronger, like my will. And when I started getting into research about the chakras and like your heart and like your posture and how that like that body language affects you and your intuition, I was the most confident version of myself when I shot that series.
Nice.
So it really does start from the inside of the microbes, but the physical aspect, the stronger you are, the stronger your core is. It really does have almost like a spiritual benefit. Like, it's necessary to work out. It's necessary to work out.
And you speaking magic, right?
Right, that was well said. Oh my God.
Like it's an ancient language, right? And I know, probably people with different spiritual thoughts, right? Religious thoughts. But the first Holy Trinity was that. It was the mind, the heart, and the gut.
Right.
Right? The Holy Trinity. And the more aligned you are, the more so-called you reach Christ consciousness. You use the consciousness to be able to communicate with the enemies, right? To communicate with those who are on the bed, to make them really dive deep into who you are and what nature is. And so, man, you can speak to the heart.
Less clouds up here. Yeah.
More life.
Powerful. God is powerful.
The more our blood flows, right? The more our cells are able to flow fluidly, or fluidly, right? The better we are.
Yeah.
That's good. What you got next, Holly?
Clap it up.
That was phenomenal.
And I just want that message, and this is really why we're here tonight. We just want this message, and especially in a space like this that offers so much. Like you offer so much, this array of this thing that you offer. It's phenomenal.
Absolutely. What we're trying to do is just like bring the community together through like information, arts, and a bunch of other things, man. So that's what this space is about, man. Bringing community together to align and make things happen. And that's what this is about.
Love ourselves. Like you see down in the wall, love is love. Like it really is about loving yourself even better, because that is how you love yourself better. Because you're caring about yourself better, right? And then we can pour out to other people. We can't do that with a closet.
I can't do that with a clock. I got so let's get into the A1reset. I want you to explain that, like you got to tell a little bit why you got started, but definitely go into it a little bit more, like why you got started and how does it affect your gut.
Okay, so back when I was at the FDA, right? I actually it sounds really crazy.
Wait, hold up. What was you doing at the FDA? Ray, what was you like top secret squirrel? Like, come on, what was you doing at the FDA?
Right, come
It's
on.
definitely a limited topic. But government, right?
NDA.
But the whole thing is, it was extremely, I don't really know how to describe it, but no, it was extremely informative. It was an extremely informative arena for me. It was very stimulating because I got to spend time in each department. So I worked mainly in drugs.
Okay.
So prior to there, I was in drug development for a couple of things. I actually had the opportunity to work with mice. Didn't like that. I said, no, I don't want to do that. But I was interested in actually like breaking down the drugs. So like they had
Hold on. Did you go to school for like chemistry? What did you go to school for?
chemistry with a biological concentration.
Woo!
Yo.
Heavy work.
So,
Heavy.
med school was actually like the plan, and then it was to the point where I chose track over it. It sounds crazy.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep.
I was so to me, I'm like a 110% kind of person. Like if I'm gonna go into something, like I knew I was like 75% for impact, and I knew I wasn't gonna give it my all, and I also didn't have the full year for like impact. Everybody in my class that are doctors now, it was only 13 people in my class. They all took that. I was training for track and field, like that was my focus. So I knew if I wasn't going to go all into that, maybe at a later point in my career, which I'm actually thinking about going back to school. Well, I am going back to school like next year.
Okay,
so
let's go.
Congrats.
I just have to be decisive on what I'm going to do. And I just knew at that time, I was really going to turn up the track.
Here we go.
I mean,
So
clearly you did.
That year, I qualified for USA Nationals, and
Wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
That's not easy.
because it's like the college I went to a really small school, and it wasn't LSU. It wasn't, it definitely wasn't that SEC So it was really virtually impossible for me to make it that far. Me, like, in my mind, I didn't even think that was possible until I graduated, and then I qualified the first year, and I was like, whoa, what if I really need this my goal? But I was working at the FDA at the same time, and I'm like, can I switch my hours from like 7 to 3? I said, if you really want to reflect, you want to work here. It just became, I just had to make a choice.
Wow.
So I made the choice, and then I kept going with track and field. You know, I ran for New Balance at the time. I was sponsored by New Balance. That was a really great opportunity. I met some nice coaches, some not so hard coaches. But you live and you learn. And it was to the point where, after I turned 25, my body stopped. I couldn't eat anything I wanted. Right? I turned 25, and it was just like, all right, you had that same thing we see. So, and then at the same time, like, you don't make money. You don't make money if you're not 12% or like 12% or less. You just don't. And then you're going against girls that are literally like, you know, enhancing, right? Enhancing with stuff, right? So that's the other line of competition,
cheating,
right? It's the other line of competition, right? So you're competing with that, and then you're competing with the fat. So I'm like, I got to do something because creatines, like all these other C4 supplements, like they were making me floating, right? And then when I was at the FDA, I actually got the chance to dissect some of these. I did my thesis on caffeine content, right? Right? So yeah, it's 36 pages on caffeine analysis. Basically, I was to determine the concentration in a series of drinks from green tea to Monster, right? So, conclusion of my thesis, Monster is the worst.
clearly.
If you have a heart arrhythmia, like there was like one study where there was a heart arrhythmia, the girl died, she drank a 24-ounce can. But that wasn't really my overall conclusion in that experiment, right? In that lengthy experiment, what I gathered was all the additives that they hide in the supplements, some they put on the label, some they don't, right? And that was the scary part because I was trying to look for these amino acids, and I'm like, what is this? Like, why can't I find this controlled substance? Because they hide it in things, right? So sometimes you see these athletes and they're like, oh, I didn't know. No, of course you didn't know because it wasn't on the label, but it was in your bloodstream, right? So this is stuff that I saw, and I had friends that went to the NFL and like they would take these same things, and I'm like, I want to know what these side effects are. And when I found out how they were so harmful to the gut, I was like, wow, like how are we taking this stuff? Like, what am I going to do naturally? Because I can't make it fat. Like I had coaches telling me fat doesn't fly, like literally shaming me for being fat.
Right.
And fat is like 150 pounds. Like, you know, it's really, really competitive, you know, and it was traumatizing to me because I didn't have that guidance. You know, I didn't go to the big time school. We didn't have anybody monitoring ourselves. I was eating ice cream. My mom will tell you. She tried to get my coach. She tried to get my coach to tell me to stop eating ice cream, and he was like, "Listen, I can't." Like they just didn't enforce, or they didn't have that standard, right? So when I left there and I started the brand, I set a standard for myself. A1reset is my standard, right? And then from there, it developed into a line, and it's like it started as a hobby, and now it's something I get to share with others. And you know, I get the opportunity to do things like this and speak here about, you know, just my journey, and I'm really just thankful because, you know, I thought I was going to the Olympics, and that kind of like explains the outfit because it was always the vision. But I feel like sometimes when you get to a point, you got to see what your goal is, right? One of my favorite books is Alchemist, right?
Oh, of course.
Right. And it's like the message I love to share actually in the back of this hoodie, it says turn your lead into gold. And I think gold looks different on everyone, right? So for me, this is A1reset is my goal, right? COVID changed a lot of things for a lot of people, and for me, you know, I didn't really acquiesce to what the world was doing at the time, and I couldn't train at the gym. I couldn't train. The training facility shut down. You had to book 48 hours. You know, it just wasn't conducive. I used to do 6 days a week for all this, and then it was like, no, you got to do this to go to the gym, and I was like, shoot, what am I going to do? So I developed a home fitness system called Relentless Body. It's the culmination of everything that I've learned on my journey, you know, and I'm just really still building, and it's I'm just only building to share with others. I had a client that lost 100 pounds in the system, and that was never my goal. I just really wanted to stay fit. But the fact that I had the opportunity to change, to help change another person's lifestyle, I want to share that with others. You know?
And that person made the newspaper too. Let's talk about that. The person.
Yeah, she made the New York Post. It was a beautiful transition, but she definitely did the work, you know? She did the work. She started with the juices. She lost 45 pounds in the first 3 months. And I'm just like, Caitlin, I'm just like, when are we going to do this body? And one day, she just was like, we did it on the lunch break. She's a teacher, right?
Yeah.
So you can never have any excuses, right? She did it on her lunch break, a mom too. And now she's actually started her own brand.
Wow.
So just to see her mindset change, Empower Fitness. So Caitlin, I love you. Like, she has inspired me so much just by believing in my vision, and I want to see her soar too, because I saw her whole mind change, you know, and that is a true testament of like what it means to really pursue what's in you and become the best version of yourself. Because when you do that, it's only until you get to that point that you can help others, and then she can sow seeds into others, right?
That was powerful just now. That was super powerful. Ain't that the truth? Wait, but you still ain't. All right, we got juices over here. What do they do? What do they do for your health?
Tonight. So, all right. So tonight I have the A1reset, which is a turmeric and ginger concentrate. That is for the gut. So that is the main drink. And then I have the A1 water, which is the cellular hydration drink. So it is a watermelon, aloe, papaya concentrate, and that serves to basically like restore your adrenals. You know, it's good for those. It's safe for those that are diabetic. So that's actually the name behind A1reset. So A1reset is a dual meaning. You have A1C, which is a number that those that are diabetic have to like monitor, right? And then you have quality, right? So A1, you know, stands for quality, and like if you're on the borderline, it's going to help you. So I have one so far that her doctor's going to put her on metformin, and she was a 7.4, and then she had this one, and she had the O2 reset, which is the purple one. I don't have it tonight, and then she got down to 5.5. So she didn't have to go on medication, you know. And I was just thankful to just catch her at that time, because so often times doctor tells you, all right, you're at a 5.9, you're like right there, we're just going to put you on this, and I'm like, well, what did the doctor say nutritionally like to recommend you? Nothing. And you know, and then you meet people, and then their numbers are double that. Right. And then they only have a choice but to depend on the medication. Right. You know, but they cover nothing nutritional, and it really breaks my heart, because it could really be solved if we just love ourselves better. You know, prior to all this going on, and really developing that lifestyle in your home.
I love that. You definitely need something with "I love yourself." You need a something, a hat, a shirt. You need something with that, because that seems to be the message tonight.
Yes.
That definitely seems to be the message.
I want to ask you, right? I'm gonna go back. So you're in the crossroads, right? You're in my med school. You're practicing for track, right?
Yeah.
You're doing the Olympics.
I'm training kids.
You're
Like
training-
I'm doing it all. I'm doing
What?
personal training. Then I'm just training kids at the UN. Almost started a nonprofit there. But then at the last minute, so check this out. Okay.
I'm gonna take a shot on stage.
At the last minute. Yeah.
So the question is, what was that decision? Like, where did you listen to your gut, right? Did your gut tell you to do that, or was it another part of your another brain that led you to continue to pursue track and drop med school?
Yeah, it was also like my heart. It was really my heart. Because I just didn't want to be like, I didn't want to be like washed up. I didn't want to be like I didn't want to be one of these old heads like, man, like I wish I would have done that, because I didn't want to hate on the next girl. Honestly, that was my motivation. I wanted to see if I could reach my pinnacle and what did that look like for me. It wasn't about, oh no, I just wanted to run a certain time and get money. That's it. That's all I wanted to do. Like I said, I wanted to be Mary Jones. She made 80 grand years. But you have to be like, in order to make that kind of money, everybody doesn't make money to try to build. That's something that a lot of people don't understand. So if you're not top 4 or better, you're not making money. Right. You're basically, if you get into like a big time meet, let's say now the price point is like $5,000, right? That's pre-taxes. That's a lot of work. Like, that's what you avoiding up. Like, these are all the factors that you have to take. And at the same time, you have bills, right? It's a very expensive sport. You know?
I think that's crazy that, like,
I didn't have such a supportive family, like, to really help me in my dream, because it was a very humbling road. Don't get me wrong.
no, I think that's so crazy because, like, to be an Olympic athlete, like, it takes everything you got plus everything you don't think you got to make it happen. And then, like, the pay is like crazy. That's really not enough. Like, you know, it's insane. It's really insane.
And then the scariest payout is like when you get to like, so if you go through this process, right, you do this cycling, they call it, right? Because I had a coach actually right before COVID, he asked me to come down and take something and get off the radar. I said, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Like, I didn't get this far to get off like that. Yeah, but this is what the business is. And he was like, well, you think people are making that kind of money for fun? And I'm just like, you know what? That's the whole point of A1reset. You know, thanks for your offer. You know, get a lot of great connections, but that wasn't like what I intended to do. So I kind of decided to look past that. But I understand that in like later in life, you can have heart issues. A lot of people do have heart issues. And they don't attribute it to it because nobody wants to talk about, oh, this is what I did back in the day, but it does catch up to a point, and I want to enjoy my kids when I have them, you know? So I kind of see that, and I don't think people really consider that. They just want money now. But hey, to each his own, there'll be no judgment. I have a lot of respect for the people that put in the work. And I even have a couple of Olympic athletes that support the brand, so I'm like kind of, you know, just thankful for that. I have a young man who's going to be running the no-roll games in a couple of weeks. So that's exciting. And another top sprinter. So, you know, I feel like the connection is there, and I still am in the sport. So
Congratulations. That's big. That's big, man. That is definitely big. Also, she has samples of shots right here if y'all like to pick them up.
and we have Sienna tonight.
Yes.
What is
And
Sienna? What is that?
that's a herb.
Sienna is actually is the ginger chocolate chip cookie.
Wait, chocolate chip cookie.
Yes.
It's
yes.
amazing.
So I use cacao.
The cookies are bomb.
Bomb.
Yes.
The other day here, right?
Yes. Definitely have to get Cal up in here the other day.
Yeah, so it's a very brain-friendly chocolate.
Absolutely.
And all of my desserts are high fiber. I rotate the menu every month, so I have a brain velvet.
Woo!
I have a
You
vegan-
know we got excited. Rain velvet.
I have a vegan velvet. It's like a brownie that's made from beets.
Oh wow.
And I have the gingerberry. So these are like my gingerberry has been the top seller since like this time last year. What?
Yeah, one is like watermelon and one is
Yeah,
like.
so the turmeric ginger one, I know you can pick out that job. Yeah, no, I really wanted to get him on here for a little bit. I love his content too.
Yeah.
Yes, but looking forward to that.
When we get to the questions, we'll go right to the doc first. So when we get to the question part of the Q&A, we'll go right to the doc first.
From all the actions right now, I'm going to education community. What do you think are some things that need to happen, right, that we can do as a community to facilitate those questions information more about the importance of the gut, about your brand, and all that stuff?
I mean, I would like the opportunity to, so you're saying like us as a collective, right? To share the information that we get tonight and to basically continue to learn, continue to be students, continue to question, right? Continue to make better choices and share that with the people that you love. If you see somebody eating a Philly cheesesteak or, you know, pig's feet, like
Not pig's feet. Look at Grandma like I eat a little pig's feet. Don't tell them.
no, so like it's not to judge, it's just to make a suggestion to have it in moderation, because at the end of the day I'm only thinking about your liver when I say things like that, right? How much work has your liver been doing since you were born, right? Everybody neglects the liver, right? We think no, it never stops working. And its only job, well not its only job, but one of its main jobs is to like break down the fat. So if you have too much fat accumulated in all of your organs, right, especially like the brain, it is hard for your body to break down the fat. So it just sits there. And one of the biggest ways to like unclog your liver, which is very simple, almost free, is to just start the day with 32 ounces of lemon lime water. Very, very simple, and like you literally will give your liver a boost that hasn't been, and just be consistent with that. You know?
Great tip. All right, talk. So how are these cookies good for your gut, man? What's going on with these cookies? What's going on with the benefit of these cookies, man? Let's talk about these cookies.
Okay, so the entire dessert line is gluten-free, vegan, high fiber. So pretty much all the desserts are 85% fiber roughly. And basically fiber helps to make things move a little better, right, on layman terms. So just in general, like most snacks that you get, or just desserts in general, don't have that much fiber, right? So I just thought it was a good way to incorporate it in something that, you know, most people love, sweets, you know?
I think, nah,
and
most
it's
of
like
us.
growing up, right, like my fat years, like, I'm telling you that, like to everything that there is a season, but it just all stems down to your choices. And I grew up on sweets. It was something that my brain was used to. I used to share Swiss rolls with my brother. We would do Pop-Tarts. Like, we would do these stuff every day. Like, my brain was used to that. So when I got to college and I went crazy, I was like, whoa, you got to get all these omelets like every single day. Like, I would have like 5, 6 eggs. I didn't know the amount. Like, I didn't know anything about that. And remember, nobody was monitoring this. We were for real.
Right. True.
You know, so then it was like a freshman 25 literally. And then I was like, coach, I'm like, why am I running this slow? And I didn't get the connection. Stop eating, Francina.
Right. Less is more.
Yeah, so I mean, it just was a lesson that I just turned into a lifestyle, and you know, just do better, make better choices, and community-wise, yes, share that with everyone. And if you see somebody that's down the wrong path or just is doing too much, just share what you can. That's all we really can do, you know, and invite them to Urban Vegan Roots.
Great answer.
This is why we're here. This is why we're really here. You know, they have some. I was looking at the pizza. I didn't get to try that yet, but that's like some really good pizza.
Listen.
Oh, the young.
Listen.
The Hollywood special, the young kid is co-signed. The Hollywood special at Urban Vegan Roots.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I definitely saw that when we just I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, I'm a little biased, but it is pretty terrific. Pretty terrific.
I mean, if it's anything like the vegan mac, like what?
You want a whole review about that?
Yeah.
As you should.
As you should. Nah, thank you for that review. Thank you. Every review matters.
Definitely worth it.
All right, you want to spin to the Q&A?
We're gonna go right to the doctor. She wanted that right there. Go ahead, doctor. Any questions you want to ask her? Any questions you want to talk about with that?
No, I'm just thankful to have him here.
Yeah, no, I think it was a very excellent topic. I think honestly the topic of it becoming a lot more open to the general population. I've been reading a lot more papers about that, especially of recent. One of the main reasons why the gut is so important is because we have millions of bacteria that actually populate in our gut, and that's why it's so important the type of foods that we eat. So depending on the food that we eat, that can help the bacteria produce certain chemicals that can actually promote health and wellness, can send chemicals up towards our brain too. Helps to release certain neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which help us feel good as well. You mentioned the vagus nerve, which is also excellent, right? So it's very important because I think for me, one thing I've learned over the years is just being more cautious and aware of everything, right? And if we think about it, we're all actually we're a living apartment for fungi, bacteria, viruses, right? So that's why it's equally important for us to think about that and be mindful when we intake things from the environment. We don't know, we have no idea what comes from the environment, but we take a chance and eat that, right? So if we're more aware of all those type of things, I think for the general population it can make or break, diabetes, heart disease, cancer. So that's my initial take. And one thing you did mention, which I think is very interesting, is that, especially with the gut, there's something called metabolic syndrome. right? When you think about most primary care physicians, when you think about metabolic syndrome, you're thinking about cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease. But there's been more recent studies relating depression, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia, and tie that along with the metabolic syndrome. Because what happens is that all these inflammatory markers send back chemicals to our brain, and it's a sort of hijacking that starts to go on. And the body becomes sort of chaotic. The body tries to respond. Like you mentioned, the body's very resilient. But at the end of the day, whatever we do, it tries to bounce back on that. And the result is a condition, a medical condition, right? Sometimes the environment does play a factor, but we can't negate genetics, right? So just because something happens, like a condition happens to somebody, doesn't mean they were necessarily susceptible to it. They can actually acquire that over time from triggers from their environment, right? Or the reverse is that you can have a condition, and like I believe you mentioned before, you can equally reverse it. I've seen a lot of that happen in the primary care office. I've seen patients on medications encouraged a certain diet, and they've been able to reverse certain things just because of the foods that they've been eating. So yeah, that's kind of a. I don't really have any questions. I think it was excellent. But those are some of the things that came up, and I was like, yeah, let me not forget to mention that because I think it can help tie along with what the great talk you guys had.
Perfect. Powerful. Yeah, I want to add to what he said. You know, it's so ancient. It says, "Let our food be our medicine, and our medicine be our food." Yes. Right. Something I was reading on his website, Harvard Medical School. Right. It says, it's a medical doctor, Alan and Ghost. He's not vegan. This doctor here is vegan. Yeah. Right. So this doctor is probably not vegan.
Yeah, come on. He's the first vegan doctor I've met. I'm be honest.
It's incredible.
None of my doctors speak about nutrition. Seriously.
Right. And he just says, I told someone when he said there's increasing evidence. Increasing evidence is showing that bacteria in the gut and the byproducts they produce affect mood, cognition, and behavior. So exactly. So sometimes we wonder why people aren't feeling good. Right. Like emotionally not feeling good. People are claiming depression. People are claiming all these emotional or mental illnesses, and it's really directly related to the food that you put in your stomach. What you're putting in your gut. That's where it comes from a lot of times. And so, it's extremely important. And thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
And lastly, you made me think of one more thing. I really did appreciate all the commentary, and you touched on the biggest one a little bit again. One other tip I was going to say, who on here takes cold shower? Or ice baths, yes?
Sometimes.
Yes. That's definitely like another great tip to like help to restore the vagus nerve. And when you have these heart issues, like stress and anxiety, sometimes it's just simple to just take like a nice cold shower. That's like a great relief, and in addition to dry brushing. I meant to bring that to show you guys, but also another thing that people leave out is the lymphatic system. When you have swollen legs, edema, it's as simple as letting things move. So you can work out, you can get massages, you can dry brush, you can take cold showers. These are other free ways to like take advantage of restoring yourself. I just wanted to add it. So thank you so much for
yes, thank you. He's actually going to be the guest for the next parlay, just to let y'all know. I had to drop that real quick.
Absolutely. We got any other questions or comments from the audience? Dave, talk to us.
Dave got a question. Dave, I don't know if you need a mic.
Bring the mic to the dog.
Hey, first of all, thank you for being here. I think this is an extremely important topic. I don't really have a question, I have more of a comment. I have been we've spoken about, I was in the juice world 20 years ago, probably longer than that actually, so I've been through all this. And I've been hearing and learning about this. I was very blessed to just fall into it, make it my business at one point. But something I have always done is drink alcohol, right? My whole life. So something I always say, and I truly believe, is that the most powerful force in the universe is habit. It's not love, it's not hate, it's habit. In my experience, right? So it's very important, the habits that we, have, right? Done yoga for over 20 years, work out 6 days a week, ride my bike, whatever. but I never stopped drinking until 4 months ago. And,
Congratulations.
and I'll tell you that you don't know anything until you experience it yourself. You know, but for a lot of people, it's very hard to like actually go and be like, you know what, I really want to go and try this. I really want to go feel it. I would. Habit is really what sustains them. So, I do think it's changing, and I do think that, you know, what you're doing is ahead of its time, and it's also timely at the same time, right? But I do feel like people are catching on, because like I said, even someone like me who's been in it, I kept on these habits, and like you're saying, I didn't trust my gut, because there was always something, and I was like, what is it? Like, I'm not understanding, I don't feel like amazing, and I feel like I should, and it was like that one habit, right? I have these 10 amazing habits, but that one habit holds you back, and that's what a lot of us don't understand, is that that's a holistic approach, is, you know what I mean, it's not, some of it is all, and if you want that prize, if you want good health, if you want to live a great life, you cannot take any shortcuts, you know, at all. And that's really, really hard for us to do, because we're taught to look for the shortcut, look for the pill, look for, you know, the cheat code, as they say, right? There's no cheat code, there's no pill. It's you and your gut and what you put in it, you know, because you can heal yourself. Like, disease is just, to me, just an indication of like something's wrong. What's up? Like, you got to do something here. Like, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts on that. On what you're
Testimony. Like, we went to church. We went to church just now. Urban Vegan Church. Urban Vegan Ministries.
Yeah, man.
Let's go. Yo, you said something that sparked a thought, man, and like, I got goosebumps. And you said habit, and I just thought of habitat. And right, like, our habits become our habitat, and makes us feel at home. And so, of course, it's going to be hard to leave home. Right? Especially we have so many examples of families been doing it, the so-called functioning. Now, I can do it and still be great, but it's like our gut never lie. And just testimony, you guys inspired me, right? I haven't had a drink, not as long as you guys.
Congratulations.
But a couple days.
Right.
And so we on the path. So appreciate you.
Absolutely. Wow, thank you. That was to keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Question? Anybody else with any questions? Back there, questions, comments? No, nobody else, no thoughts? Tia?
You have a product for somebody who has like stage 4 liver disease. What would you recommend as far as your line?
Well, as far as the line, well, first I would tell them to drink water to start. That was like first and foremost, and I would recommend. First, I would find out what kind of medication that they were on to see if we can interact. So, two of the drinks here are like medication safe, because there's certain medications that interact with different foods. Like, for instance, grapefruits. And a lot of doctors will tell you this, but if you're on certain heart medications, they interact, so it can let more of the drug into the bloodstream. So I actually had to take out the formula for the A1 water, because it was having too many issues. So, but somebody with that specifically, I would first find out like what medication that they're on, and that's first like for everyone, and then I would like go from there, and then to see what they would have, and then I would try to see what other things that I see if they had any like dietary restrictions, and then I would like recommend like from there, because although like there are good things that are like good for restoring the liver, but you have to see what they're having to see if that interacts, and then you can continue to like nourish. Does that be the starting point?
Okay. Anybody else? Any more questions? Oh, Jesse. Welcome, Jesse. Welcome, brother Jesse. From the Bronx, y'all. He's from the Bronx.
Thank you. I was gonna, it's not so much a question, it was more like, more a statement. Basically, a lot of people don't realize how important it is to drink water. Like, and,
Basics, right?
also, yeah, like myself, I drink a gallon of water a day. And also, a lot of people also don't realize that based on like your size, your body type,
Right.
your size,
Right.
how much water you actually really need.
I know Lucy got a question. Just pass me. know Lucy got a question.
No question. I want to agree with you on watching for herbal remedies depending on medications. Like as an example, right, if somebody's on thyroid medication, they can't take valerian root, right? But there are medical centers that are completely holistic that if for somebody with an issue like that, even down to cancer or whatever else, where it will be an intense regimen of a complete diet change. It's got to be all natural, all everything, like making your own applesauce, making your own Gatorade, like everything natural, because there's things in food, like even particular acids in your condiments that are not good, that are actually like cancerous and things like that. Like, you gotta look at the labels of everything. But if you're interested in knowing where that place is, because I went there for my mother, and they'll sit with you and go through all nutrition. It's gonna be a thing about like tonic teas, a lot of Chinese medicine. I'm willing to give you that information if you'd like.
Wow, look at that.
Look at that, yes.
This is how it works.
Yes.
That's exactly.
Yeah, on the same thing, my mom is going through, as you guys know, something pretty bad right now. So I've been dealing a lot with doctors and hospitals, which I'm not used to. So I found it really interesting because I go and I have all this information. I'm like, oh, you need grapefruit, like you need to drink grapefruit, whatever. But then you look at the medicine they're giving her, and they're telling her don't drink grapefruit. So it seems like it's like you go one way or you go the other. It seems that way. I'm not.
One thing that is interesting is that if we think about it, plants are chemicals.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and I tell all of my patients this, that food is really medicine, and that the drugs that doctors prescribe is synthetically made, right? So I feel like if providers can be a little bit more informative about, how plants, well, we don't do it. We don't educate about letting everyone know that not necessarily every plant is like the best for you depending on your situation. And that's important to know, right? So I just wanted to let everyone know that at the end of the day, like, medications come from plants but synthetically made in the lab. So if you think about it, plants are really medicine.
Yeah, no matter how you
so
cut
those
it.
interactions can happen, unfortunately. It's just about knowing and being aware of what we're intaking, especially with the condition. Please.
100%. And I want to build on that, right? We got a young man in here, similar. She mentioned her mom, he mentioned his mom. I just came from seeing my mom, and she's not doing well at all, and she's looking for like immediate help. And I'm so sad because it's like you say you go one way or the other. It's like you behind. You know what I mean? You behind, and it's like it's so sad because of like plants of medicine, but it's not a super Mario thing that's gonna work like that. Like it has to be part of your lifestyle. Right now, yes, there are some plants that can, right? Different other plants work really fast and be really strong, but it's gotta be a lifestyle adjustment.
Yeah, and one last thing, I don't want to talk too much, but like everything that happens to our body is honestly a domino effect. Someone mentioned it, like when you have I think you mentioned it, when a disease manifests, that it's not day one. It's likely at least day 365 and beyond. So that's just your body saying like, dang, I can't do no more. That's it. And now you're gonna see it. So it's those daily decisions that we make. The body's continuously fighting to keep it optimal, keep it A1. Like every day is trying to be optimal. It's true. So it's like a scale, right? Once it tips over, it's just like it starts leaking over, and then your body will manifest, unfortunately, those medical conditions. So it's something to keep in mind. That's it.
And that goes right into us knowing, like being very cognizant of what we put out about how it affects us. Because a lot of times I have a friend who he's a fat guy, right? He's overweight for his height. Every couple of months, he's sick. He's missing work. He can't do this. But then I'm like, bro, you gotta change your diet. I went to the doctor. I'm good. Don't wait until when they tell you you got diabetes, you've had it. When they tell you you got cancer, you've had it. When they tell you you got hypertension or high blood pressure, you've been having it for a while. They're just now letting you know. Right? So it's really deep. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Any more?
Damn,
Oh,
wow.
man, Mama
This is not a
Mama
question
A1.
because I'm very fortunate to have been living with this young lady for many, many years since she was a young girl. But I just wanted to say, my mother was sitting right here, Francina's grandmother, and she's had some medical issues throughout the last few years. One of which was I guess you would say a mild stroke. And I wanted Francina just to tell a little bit how my mother recovered. This amazing, and I'm talking about the products, but I'm going to let this chemist over here tell you what combination or whatever you were doing to get my mother back into mobility, because we weren't sure.
Wow.
Wait, can we do one thing? Can we clap for 3 generations being in the building? 3 generations being in the building? That's pretty special. Now go ahead.
These are my hearts, by the way. This is never seen these. Yeah, so back in 2015, this is like right around the time I was like, you know, on the verge of starting a brand. I was just making it for like myself, and my grandmother had a stroke. We're very close, so we were on the phone, and she starts slurring her speech, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was just like, what are you talking about? And she's like, she can't really make a sentence. And I said, something's wrong. So I came there first thing in the morning, went to her house, and she had a stroke. She couldn't walk, talk, sit, stand, use the bathroom, like immediately. And I got her to the doctor. I talked to the neurologist, and I said, so what are you going to do about this? And he was like, oh, I'm going to up the blood pressure. And literally, that was what he said. And I was like, what? Like, that was his response, and that was like, whoa. And at that point, the A1reset was kind of just like in like motion, and I was just like, all right. So they gave us, what was it? Basically, she had to wait for the therapy, right? They don't give you therapy immediately. They give you medication. They send you home, but she couldn't be home alone, so she was, you know, with us because she needed somebody to care for her. Because at this point, she still couldn't talk, like literally couldn't talk. And most people don't recover. I can't quote the like percentage of like people that recover from stroke, but some people don't, because it's like the window that you act, right? So aggressively, we were doing beats, like the turmeric and ginger. At that time, I was just like making her tea, and then I started making her smoothies, and like literally in 9 days, and we were doing our own therapy. We had a chair, and I had her standing on the chair, and she was doing left, right, and like literally a couple of weeks later, she was back to normal.
Wow.
Let's go!
Give it up for her.
Nah, give it up.
That has the strongest mind that I know. And
Incredible.
another thing, on my 30th birthday, and it's, I don't want to make her feel like this, but it just is that like if you're good to yourself, and she is on medication. She's on a series of things, so I had to be careful about like when I introduced to her. And she had her 6th stent on my 30th birthday. I'll never forget that. Because I just wanted to go to the spa. And I was sitting in here, I was fighting with people because they wouldn't let me in the hospital. This was around COVID, so they wouldn't let me upstairs. They said, if you don't get back down those steps, we're gonna have to apprehend her. So I just want to make sure she's okay because people were passing away in the hospital. It was at that time, and it was really, really scary. And she took the COVID test. She didn't have that. She had a procedure, and literally I brought one for your heart, the A1reset. It's a beet, ginger, and lime concentrate, and we was sipping that, and she was out. And what did we have the first week? Well, what was your strict diet? That doesn't remember. But I was like really happy because I asked them specifically, so this was Mount Sinai. This is actually one of the top hospitals. I like really commend them for doing their job because I was so scared. You know, it was a 99%. The percentage was crazy, you know, but they did their magic, you know, and she was able to recover and she's back normal. I still like let her have what she has, but she does incorporate them at her own rate. So she drinks one of the drinks at least once a day. And you know, it's just about like it doesn't have to be a full thing, but do what's possible, you know.
Go, Grandma.
So,
Yeah.
that would be a testament. She ran and a lot, you know, this lifestyle is not perfect, but you know, she's definitely, her strength is really mental. One thing she said was before she went from the surgery, it's kind of like embarrassing, but she she tells us that she's me, and she's gonna come back. You know, because we were scared, we didn't know what was gonna happen, but her mind got her through that experience. And it's like it was the power of the heart and mind. I saw that working together. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you're going through any type of illness, you know, your mind is just like, how is this? You know, you could either be defeated or you could already have it conquered in your mind. And she had it conquered before she went under that operation. You know. So yeah, definitely a testament to more mental willpower than anything.
Yes. See, I mean, congratulations for
Yeah.
you and the grandma and the family for pulling through that, you know, and that just makes me think of, mental power and willpower. Makes me think of all this book by Deepak Chopra, Perfect Health. You know, it speaks about, I think there was like an experiment done. Two women, both had cancer. One was told she had cancer, one wasn't. One who wasn't lived so much longer and fuller. And she had cancer. I think hers was worse than the other one because of just will to live. She didn't live. She didn't let nothing stop her, and that's so important. And that ties into, right? Well, how does your mental strength tie into your gut?
Okay, so now we get to the relentless body. So relentless body is a system that I created, but it attacks 3 parts. So it starts with your subconscious. So before you join the program, I make you sign a contract. It's not with me. It's not with payment. It's not even that expensive. The contract is for yourself. So basically, it's like you're writing a contract. You're keeping yourself accountable, right? So you're writing out your goals. It's very like detailed paragraph, and you're specifically telling yourself like what you want to accomplish, why you want to accomplish it, and you rehearse that every day. And in addition, there's like specific journal questions that you ask yourself at certain times that are really strong for the mind to really get reprogrammed, right? That's the start. Then you have the movement, right? The movements start off by strengthening your posture. So it starts with core, because you can do any workout program that you want to follow on Instagram or any of these platforms, but if you don't have the proper posture, where you going? You can't even get the figure that you want, right? If you don't have the proper posture in mind, and even worse, you can get hurt, you know? So like I said, everything that I learned from track, I had a symmetry issue in track too. That was another thing. So I had the weight not on my side, and then my symmetry was messed up because I was lifting wrong with a coach a couple of years ago, and then that set me back. I had to undo the work and then reprogram myself to get my symmetry aligned. And that's what we talk about. Like we have all these, you know, so many things, so many other programs out in this universe. We have yoga, you know, and they all help to like center ourselves. So it's really like my system to like get centered. And it starts with your posture, but it really is a mind. Caitlin went to the relentless body system, and her body changed, but her mind really went to another level. You know, and that really is, it starts in the subconscious. And back when I was, you know, in my, I would say like my common track and field, that was something that I did. I had these affirmations in my room in my dorm. Like I remember, I took my TV out because I didn't want to watch TV. I had like 55, 85 was the PCHC scanner. That was my TV, and I saw that every day. I had another affirmation about my life, and I had them like all over my dorm. So that is a component that's sticking with me for life, and I just made it a little bit more personal. And it's just personal for the average person that's just taking this journey, taking the relentless journey. So that's how it ties in. And yeah, I really want more people to.
You know, powerful. It's just my last comment, you know, I was going to share is that you're speaking about yoga, and again, is studies, is evidence that shows that this relaxation process, the things you do to relax the mind and the brain, actually also helps the gut.
Yes.
Right? Because the stiller you are mentally and emotionally, the more your blood flow, the more oxygen flow, right? The way that to move your bowels, do things that you can do down and all this stuff. So yeah, thank you for everything.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everybody that showed up. Thank you.
For yourselves.
Yes, and make sure you grab them samples before I get to those cookies. I just want to tell y'all better get to them cookies before I get off the stage because they not making it.
Please enjoy. There's also another drink that I love here. It's called Relax. It'll tell you. I don't know if you want to say a little bit about that drink, but we have a lovely bar over here. So it's actually one of the healthier drinks. It has about 4% alcohol, but it has
Pulp culture.
Shout out about pulp culture. Yes.
Shout out to Pope Culture. Pope Culture. We also have a monthly walkabout that they're the sponsor for. Shout out Pope Culture.
Shout out Pop Culture.
Please.
Yeah, awesome. Love you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, I need a box. What do you think?